The offensive line is an extremely fun topic for the 2025 NFL Draft because this time around, this class isn't loaded with offensive tackle talents. There are a few interior talents that shake up some teams' draft plans. Some pure tackles, some pure guards, some pure centers, and some versatile cornerstones. Who is the best offensive lineman in the 2025 NFL Draft? Let's find out. This year, I am going to rank the top 10 linemen combined instead of doing top 5 tackles and top 5 inside guys. Despite that, 3 interior guys are the first 3 off this list in Donovan Jackson, Jonas Savaiinaea, and Tate Ratledge. A bold take here as well, but I'm not a huge fan of Josh Conerly Jr., and he will also not be on this list. And that's mainly because this class is just stacked as we start this video off with one of those guys that could play tackle or guard in the NFL. I personally believe that West Virginia offensive tackle Wyatt Millam will be a tackle at the next level, but there are several traits that fit the inside of the line better. And I think that begins with his shorter arm length. His 32 1/8 inch arms are in the 8th percentile of offensive tackles, and his 79 5/8 inch wingspan is in the 3rd percentile. And it's clear that he plays to that as he likes to play closer to the guard to not give up the inside easy. But that allows for him to give up the edge too easily, which is a big concern for me. On top of that, he does block with a high pad level, and that really showed in some reps against Penn State edge rusher Abdul Carter. But the positives are absolutely there. His grip strength at the point of attack is fantastic, and he's done a fantastic job mauling athletic rushers in the run game. Speaking of the run game, he has very solid explosiveness off the line, and he is super scheme versatile as a run blocker. Yet, my favorite part about his game is the IQ and his ability to efficiently jump off blocks and adjust his positioning because he just knows what's going on behind him. But I feel that Millam has questions that need to be answered, but he has a base that should make him a quick impact in the league. Millam gets an early 3rd round grade and is my number 7 offensive tackle in this draft class. We move on to a surefire interior guy and the only center to make my list. I'm unnecessarily high on Jared Wilson. Or, at least consensus would believe I am too high on the Georgia center. But man, his tape did really impress me. What stood out to me is his overall athleticism. His agility and footwork are very present on pass blocks where he can mirror incoming rushers. His first step is fantastic, and he does a great job getting upfield to initiate blocks on linebackers. The hand usage is also great in the pass game, where he plays the chest and does not allow himself to get too wide in pass protection. And while his grip strength is fantastic at its best, it is inconsistent, which allows for him to get pulled over by larger or stronger nose tackles. As expected with that, he's much better against 4-man fronts than 3-man fronts. He will make contact a little too early, his explosiveness can be a little slow on zone snaps, and he struggles to block counters at times. Wilson is the only guy with a late 2nd round tag on this list. We move up a grade as I dive into Alabama offensive guard Tyler Booker. Alabama had some unreal size on the offensive line in 2023. J.C. Latham in the 2024 draft class, maybe Caden Proctor in the 2026 class, and here's Booker for 2025. Booker measured in at 6'5", 321 pounds, and was listed with 325 while with Bama. That size reflects his elite play strength, which is among some of the best I've ever seen in a guard. His strong hands combine with nice technique in the pass game and some great arm length that allows for him to cover counter moves and inside moves, and even recover well despite not being great athletically. And that's where I will start with the negatives. He is strictly a strong guard. Some of the pull blocks and upfield blocks, or lack thereof, were extremely ineffective, and he does play super heavy on his feet, which really shows in his subpar lateral capabilities. He also does not explode well off the line, but even outside of the athleticism, he does tend to play overly aggressive, and he tends to do it a lot. But despite the bad explosiveness, lateral things, and more, he is insanely strong, and that is what will intrigue some teams. He gets a mid-second round grade on my board, which should make you extremely excited for what's up next. Purdue offensive lineman Marcus Bowe is a guy that I am torn on in terms of where on the line he will play in the NFL. But what I am not torn on is that this guy absolutely deserves to be on this list. And here's why. Bowe is one of the most explosive offensive line prospects in this draft. He gets off the line so well and uses that to knock back defensive linemen in the run game, but also gets deep and sets the edge in the pass game. He has great hand technique that stays active in both pass and run. His awareness is fantastic for him to find someone to hit, and there's much more that makes me think he will be a team's franchise tackle. But yeah, he's definitely undersized for the position. 17th percentile in height and 19th percentile in weight. He also has shorter arms, 6th percentile in arm length and 19th percentile in wingspan. I also mentioned that first step being deep, but it gets too deep to the point where he gives up the inside too easily. On top of that, he has lost a couple counter reps because of those shorter arms, and he'll be better off losing those at guard. Nonetheless, Bowe is a fantastic prospect. Tackle or guard, I will support it because of the overall talent that he has. He is listed as my number 6 offensive tackle in this draft, and his grade comes out as a mid-second round tag. Now, someone that I am lower on this time around. Don't hate me because I don't hate Mizzou offensive tackle Armand Membou. I only think there are better options out there, but this class has so many great tackles that Membou ends up 6th on this list. But the lower grade mainly comes from the fact that I think he is raw for the tackle position. His hand usage in the pass game is wildly inconsistent, sometimes playing wide, sometimes playing tight, and sometimes playing overly aggressive. He also does miss a good chunk of upfield contact, which is shocking given his skill set. And for some reason, he stops blocking on outside runs if the running back doesn't bounce outside. I don't know why I saw this several times. But the positives are very, very positive. He is a ridiculous athlete, first off. Top-notch footwork comes natural to him. His first step off the line is extremely quick. He covers so much space not just with his wide body, but also his explosive sidestep, and there's even more. He's a versatile run blocker as well. He absorbs bull rushes very well. He is a fantastic recovery blocker, and he's not all athleticism. He has the upside to develop better play strength. So yeah, Membou is no joke. He is extremely talented, but he does fall short to a few other offensive tackle prospects. He gets a mid-second round grade and pans out as the 5th best offensive tackle in my rankings. 5 down, 5 to go. This guy played tackle in college, but North Dakota State's Gray Zabel is my number 1 interior prospect in this class. I think it's not bold at all to say he will play inside in the NFL. But man, he is so versatile that he could really just play anywhere. To emphasize that versatility, he played at least 17 snaps at every position, 2,038 on the outside and 692 on the inside. In terms of general traits, he has fantastic footwork and overall agility. He has great timing on his initial punches that are rarely off. He has nice hand technique on pure pass sets. He has very good awareness as a run blocker and does so well in gap schemes. He has phenomenal sustain capabilities, and he blocks counter moves at very high levels. The positives are absolutely there. It's not all sunshine and rainbows with Zabel, or as Will Campbell would say, roses and Skittles, as he does have some of the shortest arms in this class, sitting at 32 inches. He does get his hands out too wide on upfield blocks, which can turn into either holding penalties or losing balance on swims. And a couple general things, he did play FCS competition his entire career, and he feels a little scheme specific because most of his success comes from basic, true pass sets, and in run, the gap runs. So here is my statement on Zabel. He has questions, not because of his play, but because he is so good everywhere that I have no idea where he will play. He gets a mid-second round grade just like the last 3 guys, but he is the number 1 interior lineman guy in this draft. That means we have 4 offensive tackles to round out this list, the first of those 4 being Minnesota tackle Ariante Ursary. Man, I was tempted to give this guy a first round grade, but there are some concerns that I can't dodge. But the positives very easily outweigh those negatives. This 6'6", 331-pound specimen has phenomenal play strength and an even better initial punch, which really shows in the run game. He is also super explosive off the line, and he sustains run blocks extremely well. He also has pretty good athleticism for someone of his size, showing that when having to mirror counter moves in pass pro and having great bend when he faces rushers square on. On the negative side though, he does get beat on straight up speed. It's not like he gives up the edge too easily, it's just his reactionary athleticism isn't fantastic. His hand placement can get a little wide at times. He will rely too much on upper body strength around the edge, and for his strength, he loses a lot of bull rushes. In my eyes, Ursary is a medium sleeper, and he deserves more credit than the consensus gives him. He gets an early second round grade in my books and is the offensive tackle 4 in this class. We now move on to detailed scouting report honoree Kelvin Banks Jr., whose grade is actually lower than it was in that video. I watched another game of his, and I'm still satisfied with him as a prospect, just not first round satisfied. Or I should say blue chip satisfied. He'll still probably make the top 20. And since I already discussed him in a prior video, here's a brief rundown. Positively, he is athletic enough to make efficient upfield and pull blocks. He is super explosive off the line in the run game, and he's overall a great athlete. He also has the play strength to push speed rushers outside. He's extremely good with block transitions. He has a lot of success with counter moves as well. Negatively, he is a raw prospect. He has inconsistent technique and extends his arms too much and plays away from the body. He can be overly aggressive with his leg drive. He will hold when he's beat. His anchor step needs some tooling as he doesn't get deep enough, and he needs to learn to jump off double teams when a blitzer is incoming. My goodness. Banks is a stud prospect, don't get me wrong. There's still a legitimate chance that he does get up into that top 20 on my big board. He gets an early second round grade instead of that blue chip grade, and he is the number 3 offensive tackle in my rankings. The runner-up on this list also nearly got a blue chip grade, but instead Ohio State tackle Josh Simmons will have to settle. He did get the highest true score of any offensive lineman in this class, but my grade unfortunately overrules that. The main critique for me to not give Simmons that first round tag is his injury. He was fine in 2023, and he might have been the best O-lineman in the country in 2024, until he got hurt. Trait-wise, he did get dinged for holding calls a lot in his career, and had 25 total penalties in 2022 and 2023 combined. His agility is also below average, and he is prone to inside stunts. On top of that, he will sometimes miss those upfield blocks. But there are so many things to love here. Just to run through a few, he sets the edge with ease on pure pass sets. He has great athleticism to make pull blocks and upfield blocks, and he also has great play strength on run blocks. He had that aforementioned elite start to the 2024 season. He has some elite block transitions. He packs a punch on first contact, and he has very good patience as both a pass and a run blocker. So Simmons absolutely has the potential to be the best tackle in this class. The injury just holds him back a bit. He still does get an early second round grade, and of course, he's the number 2 offensive tackle in this class. And finally, the number 1 offensive lineman in the 2025 NFL Draft is none other than LSU's Will Campbell. Yes, I have him graded as an offensive tackle, but he could realistically play either tackle or guard at the next level, and he will succeed at both. Campbell was in the same detailed scouting report as Banks, so here's the brief. Positively, Campbell's play strength is phenomenal. He has elite sustained capabilities in the run game, he is very good against bull rushes, and he will pinch rushers inside to shut them down. He also has great technique in pass pro when it's there. His wide frame allows for him to play against rips and swims very well. His anchor is very solid, and he is a quick thinker in pass pro. Negatively, there isn't much. He is not as agile as he may hope for in an offensive tackle prospect, and because of that, he is prone to inside rushes. His technique is inconsistent, and he will commit to double teams and miss outside rushers. But that's all I got. Yes, Campbell was worked by Dallas Turner and Jared Verse, but iron sharpens iron. He's still a fantastic blocker. He is the only offensive lineman to get a blue chip grade, and while he wasn't originally, I still think that Campbell is in that top tier by himself. So with that being said, Will Campbell is the number 1 offensive lineman in the 2025 NFL Draft.
Wait, are you not subscribed yet? Well, do it now. I release content like this all the time and would really appreciate your support. I'm Chase Keller from Chase Keller Journalism, and I will see you all next time.